Hi, anyone and everyone. This is Kim, the Humble Hermit from Come As You Are Oracle. I am going to do the collective, a crow collective, for today. Today is Thursday. It is March 2nd, 2026. You may follow me on the Talk the Tube, my blog, or not. Totally up to you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If it doesn't fit, don't make it fit. If some of it fits, God's kiss. We love that for you. Whatever doesn't, leave it on the table for someone else. You don't need to take on energy that wasn't meant for you. We got Urban Crow Oracle by MJ. This will be the only crow deck I ever use. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, one of the readers that I follow has a crow deck that I want to get, but I can't figure out where to get it because I can't find it. And he talks about it all the time. I think I even looked on eBay and I couldn't find it on there. I do have a crow tarot deck, but I don't really like it. Like, to the point where, like, sometimes I just want to give it away. I probably should just give it away. I think it's the Poe tarot deck, I think. Oh, Poe Crow tarot deck. I'm not a fan. I don't really like it. We got 2 on the table. Someone's pissed off about some type of union. Like, there's a reader on YouTube. I cannot remember her name. She's British. And I was watching her for a while and then I stopped because I don't know, like I was never really resonating with her reading. She's a really nice lady, and like I enjoy her personality, and she is the only other person that I know of that buys a ton of Hattie Thorne decks, because Hattie Thorne is also British and in England. But she always she does her readings, and when she pulls the Lovers card, she goes, the Lovers, the Lovers. I can't remember what her name is, but I just heard that. Like, somebody is mad about the Lovers. 2 lovers. I just heard star-crossed. Maybe twin flame. Twin flame would be like star-crossed, right? Wouldn't you think? Or pretty close. We got 3 on the table, 4 on the table. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We got 5 on the table. Two more shuffles. Somebody's jealous. It's jealousy. It's just jealousy, enviousness. And is enviousness? Is that a word, or is it just envious? Last shuffle. 6 on the table. 7 on the table. 8 on the table. Bottom of the deck. Just want to kind of put them in order for myself. We've got wrath, commitment, teamwork, preparation. Like, I'm like booping up something. We got caching, survival, resistance, and then bottom of the deck is soar. Soar. Feminine, masculine, take how it resonates. It doesn't matter. Someone is jealous of two people's commitment to each other, their teamwork, like they work really well together. They're whoever this couple is, whoever these lovers are preparing for something. I don't know, maybe emptiness, maybe they're having a baby, or maybe they're just maybe they're creating something together, maybe they're going to go into business together. They're preparing for something. And they're not talking about it. Whoever these lovers are, they're not talking about, like, they're hiding it. Like they don't want to go public, like, with whatever they're doing. With the survival card, like they feel like they don't really have any other choice. Like they don't want people in their business. It's like I just heard a coping mechanism. I don't really think it's, but it definitely would be survival of their relationship, survival of whatever they're working on. You guys know this. I mean, we've talked about this before. A lot of readers will be like, "Oh, when you go back to school, don't tell people because then they'll hate on you. When you start your own business, don't tell people because they'll hate on you." And yes, to a degree, that could be true. I personally feel like when people live in hate and try to ruin people's stuff that they got going on, I feel like things are meant to happen the way that they're meant to happen. You guys know I believe in fate and destiny. So if it's meant to fail, it's going to fail, whether somebody's sending you the evil eye or not. If it's meant to succeed, it's meant to succeed. If your relationship is meant to be, it's meant to be. Yes, I believe outside forces play a part, right? Like, and this is just an example, but like, let's say I have a boyfriend. We've been dating for 6 months. My best friend all of a sudden decides to hit on them and try to, coerce them into leaving me and being with them. And they succeed. Okay, well, if they succeed, then that person really wasn't meant for me. How great of a boyfriend could they be if they were with me for 6 months and all of a sudden my best friend looks so amazing after 6 months that they have to rush over there to be with them? Let them go. Like, like in my opinion, like let them go and don't think twice about either of those idiots. I I believe in keeping things quiet to a certain extent. The thing is if for some reason you're doing something or you're investing in something and your life starts to change, at some point you're going to have to say something, you know? And again, this is just an example, but like, let's say I win the lotto and I keep it quiet for like a year. I keep my job. I sit on my winnings. I'm working for a year. And then all of a sudden, like, let's say something happens in my condo and I'm like, fuck this, I'm just going to buy a house. And I go out and pay cash for a house. That's public record. Like that's literally public record. I don't know if I'm sure you guys have bought houses, stuff like that before. That is actually printed. It's usually printed in the newspaper. Believe it or not, I had no idea of this. My mom found mine when I bought my original townhouse in my hometown. It was my first home. It's the first time I ever left home from my parents. And I bought my townhouse and it was listed in it. Well, it's listed in the newspaper because it's real estate. Like it was sold, right? So I never even, I guess on some level I knew that they did that, but like it never registered. And then she found the clipping and she kept it. And it said, Kimberly A. Brown bought this residence for this amount of money on such and such date. So it is literally right there. So I buy a house for 500 grand, right? It's right there in the newspaper. And let's say one of my coworkers sees it because they're like house hunting and they're looking through the newspaper and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Kim bought a house for $500,000. How can she afford that on the money that she makes where she works? And then they go to work and they ask a bunch of friends and then they start talking and they ask the boss and then things start to get around and then somebody finally comes up to me and says, hey, I have this clipping from the newspaper that said you bought a house for $500,000. When were you going to tell everybody that you were moving? When were you going to tell everybody that you could afford a $500,000 house? And that's where you would, you don't necessarily have to be like, hey, I won $50 million, but you would have to be like, oh, well, like I have my own business and I made money, so I bought a house, or, like you would have to say something, you know, well, I won the lottery. I'm not going to tell you how much, but I won the lottery and I decided to buy a house and there it goes. And there you go. Do you necessarily have to tell them the truth? No, you could just tell them to mind their own fucking business. But still, at some point, like, there's going to be a reality check. And I think don't they do like don't they make lottery winnings public? I think the only way you can keep it private is if you go through a lawyer, right? Like if you have like representation or something. I can't remember. There's something about it's supposed to be made public unless something. But anyway, like I'm just saying, like at some point, like yes, it's good to keep things private and it's good to keep things on the down low, but at some point, like people might question like what's going on, and you know what I mean? It would be just a lot easier to be honest and truthful than to have somebody following you around town trying to figure out your every move. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody's doing that here. I don't know. But whoever is watching this couple work together, come together, this is someone that like that they're adamantly against this. So it could be like a family member, it could be a friend of one of the couple, it could be an ex-lover, sure. But there's something about not wanting this couple to be together, not wanting them to work together, not wanting them to do something together. And this person could be hiding this in order to survive. So again, like this could be like a family member, like not liking the fact that their brother is engaged to such and such woman, and they don't like that woman. They don't like the fact that they're engaged. They don't like the fact that they seem like a good team. Like they think that there's something off with the woman. They don't want their brother with that woman. This would be something that they would have to hide sometimes, right? Like, because if they made it known, let's say they're the only one that doesn't like this woman. If they made it known, the whole family would be like, what do you mean you don't like Catherine? What do you mean you don't like Toby? What do like, in order to make it through, they just have to pretend like they're going along, like it doesn't matter. But underneath it all, like they don't like this connection. And it would be like they don't recognize it. So it would, it kind of reminds me of like, again, we'll use the same scenario. Like, let's say somebody's brother is getting married to a woman, they're engaged to a woman, and they don't they don't like the fact that like that this is happening, so they're pretending that it's not. Like they're like, oh yeah, sure, you're engaged to Catherine. Yeah, sure, you're engaged to Toby, but you know, is that really gonna last? Like, love fades. It's kind of like that snarky, like everybody thinks that their relationship's gonna work out, but this isn't gonna work out. Like I don't think it's for you. So there's a lot of anger there for whoever this person is. Like they get really angry about this connection. They want to move on. They don't want to have to like have anything to do with this connection. So like again, same scenario. If this is someone's brother engaged to a woman and they don't like the woman, they're just not going to talk to the brother. They're not going to talk to the woman. Problem solved. Like they're just going to move on from the whole situation. They're going to become that sibling that's just like, like I'll see you at Christmas, I'll see you at Easter. Okay, that's it. Like I don't want to have anything to do with you. Oh, you got married? Great. Yeah, I can't be there. I got a business trip. Oh, you're having your first kid? Yeah, sorry. I can't send a gift. My funds are tied up this month. It's like that kind of, like somebody's going to go out of their way to make themselves unavailable, to make themselves not a part of the connection. And at some point it's going to be noticeable. If it's not noticeable at first, it's going to be noticeable to the point where this couple is going to be like, hey, how come my brother doesn't, like you, doesn't hang out with us, blah, blah, blah. Like eventually somebody's going to notice. It's not going to go unnoticed. Oh, now the sun comes out. It's not going to go unnoticed for a long period of time. People are going to notice. And they're kind of hoping like this connection won't last, it won't work out. Like, oh, I hope my brother, finds out their fiance's cheating and they don't get together because I don't like her. Like, oh, I hope it doesn't work out for them. I you know It was funny. I was talking to one of the ladies at work today. Today is actually her birthday. She's a few months older than me, so she just turned 46. I'm going to turn 46 in June. She's a very nice lady, really nice lady. Um I was asking her about, she just got back from vacation like 2 weeks ago, I think, or something like that. And I never got a chance to ask her how it went and da 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 da. So we were finally picking next to each other today, and I was like, oh, I never, how'd the vacation go? I never got to ask you. And who'd you go with? Did you have fun? What'd you do? And she goes, Kim, you have a lot of questions. And I was like, yeah, I'm nosy. I'm like, and I told her, she's like, I don't really want people to know about my personal. And I said, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not. I was almost gonna say her name. I'm not gonna say anything. So and so, and I don't talk about her business. I mean, I don't really talk about anybody's business, but there are some people up there that they share their own business and it gets around, so I don't feel bad if something slips for me. So anyway, um she asked me, she's like, well, what about you? Like, are you going to go on vacation this year? Are you going to do anything? Or and then she's asking me, oh, she goes, are you seeing anyone? Are you dating? Or like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I am off the market. And she goes, you are? She's like, you're seeing someone? And I'm like, yeah, God. And she goes, what? And I said, I'm not seeing anyone. I said, but I'm off the market. I said, I have no interest whatsoever. And it's funny because her and I had this conversation when earlier that morning, I had to go into work early today for overtime because we're busy. We're finally busy in April. The lady, pardon me, the lady that I was picking next to this morning, her and I were talking. She's kind of been seeing this guy for a while, but like she thinks of him more as a friend. Like she doesn't really think of them as together. And I think she likes him, but I don't think she really sees him as anything more than like a buddy. I don't think she sees him like a long-term relationship. And that's fine. They do whatever. They're friends. They're more than friends, but eventually I'm assuming she's going to move on unless she somehow magically falls in love with him. Um, but I told her, I said, and I've told her this before, like a couple months ago. I said, I think I'm just better off on my own, like today I'm going to work and then I'm going to go home and I'm going to feed the kitties and I'm going to do the readings and I'm going to work out and then I'm going to get my jammies and then I'm going to get into bed and I'm going to fall asleep watching TV. And I said, I don't have to take care of another person. I don't have to make sure another person eats. I don't have to make sure another person's laundry gets done. I don't even make sure my laundry gets done. Like, I can literally go home and do whatever the hell I want, go to bed when I want, get up when I want. I'm free as a bird. I don't have to worry about anybody other than me and the cats. And I said to her, I said, I don't know that there is anybody out there worth me giving that up for. And should anybody have to give that up for another person? So this afternoon, when I was having basically the same discussion with this other woman in our department, I told her, I said, no, I think after everything that happened last year and everything, like looking back on my life, everything that's happened in my life, I said, I think I'm just better off alone. I think I'm just better off doing my own thing, living my life, not worrying about love, not worrying about men or women, not manifesting for somebody to come in. Like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And she's like, yeah, don't go search for it, but you want it to come, right? And I said, well, yes. I said, but I'm not going to put up with nonsense. Like, I'm done putting up with nonsense. Like, if, I have certain prerequisites as an adult that I want in another person. And if they don't have it, then they're not for me. And if nobody has it, then that's okay. That's fine. And she didn't get it. Like she was trying to kind of like make it like my fault. Like, oh, well, that's kind of a poor attitude to have. I was like, it's a poor attitude to have standards. And I said to her, I said, I'm just tired of being used and abused. I'm tired of being raped and sexually assaulted. I'm tired of, paying for other people on dates because they can't afford to go on a date. I'm tired of men specifically that are in their 50s and 60s and don't own their own home, can barely hold down a job, probably don't have a car, have 10 kids, and expect to marry a virgin their first time out. Like, you're a 50-year-old man. You should be looking for a 50-year-old woman. And I've talked to you guys about this before. Like, and I've told you guys that I realized I'm attracted to younger men. Like, I find myself more and more attracted to younger men. And I made that comment to the lady, and she's like, I don't understand what's with you and younger men. And I said, I just don't want an older guy that is still not established, needs a blue pill every time, and can't take care of themselves. Like, I'm 45. I can barely take care of myself. And I'm saying that jokingly, but still, like, I'm 45. I shouldn't have to take care of another human being that's my age or older because they can't figure out life for themselves. Like, I've already figured out life. I'm already living my life. I pay my own bills. I go to work every day. I work full time. I work overtime. I feed my cats. I feed myself. I take care of myself. I'm more healthier now than I've ever been. And now I gotta do that for another person because they can't figure it out? No, no. I told her, I said, do I want love? Of course I do. Of course I do. And it's funny because one of the guys in the department, older guy, nice guy, I talk to him all the time. He volunteers on Sundays too for OT. And he's a little bit older. I think he's like 52, 53, 54, somewhere around there. So about 10 years older than me, somewhere around there. I said to her, I said, I only have so many years left and I don't want to spend them chasing a dream. I said, I'm my dream. Like, I'm my dream. When I'm on my own, when I'm not in a relationship, I get to do all the things that I want to do. I get to accomplish all the things that I want to accomplish for myself. I was married for almost 10 years. I was in a relationship for almost 11. Or sorry, I was married for almost 8 years, 7 years, 8 years. And I was in a relationship for almost 11. I, I spent my whole time taking care of the ex-husband. Now, should I have known better? Right. Yeah, I should have, right? But a healing person or a non-healing person doesn't necessarily know that. And after 2020, everything happened in 2022 and the beginning of 2023. That's really when I started to figure things out for myself. And, it's just about coming to the conclusion like, yes, I want love, but I'm just not willing to sacrifice any of my standards, my wants, my needs for another person. So if that means that I'm alone for the next 14 years of my life until my end, then that's how it is. And both of these, my coworkers, the man and the woman, they're like, what do you mean 14 years? And I said, well, I die when I'm 60. And they both looked at me and they're like, you don't know that. And I said, well, no, I do. Like, I've known that since I was a little kid. And they just kind of looked at me and I was like, I don't know what to tell you. And my friend, the female, the guy walked away. The guy walked away. And the female, she started to tear up like she was gonna cry. And I said, you don't have to cry. And she's like, I feel bad. I said, that just shows what a great person you are. I said, but you don't have to feel bad. Like, I have lived my life. I have experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly of life. And I've had a lot of good, right? For all the bad that I've had, for all the ugly that I've had a lot of good. There is no reason to cry other than tears of joy, because I'm telling you right now, like, I'm the happiest I've ever been and I'm alone. And I think that's amazing. And she just kind of looked at me and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm done. I don't know what my point of the story was. Oh, I don't understand why people can't be happy. Because here's the thing, even though I feel, this is my point. This is my whole point after 10 minutes of telling you this story. Even though I don't necessarily feel like I need to be in a relationship, even though I'm very comfortable on my own, I very much look at other people and hope for them love, hope for them marriage, hope for them kids, family, relationships, commitments. I hope for that for everybody. If that's what you want, awesome. I want it for you. I would never be like, oh, so and so's getting married. Well, I was hoping they wouldn't because I'm not. Like, what kind of attitude is that? Like, what is that? We're all humans. We're all living the same experience, and we should all want the best for each other. There's no reason on earth why some little turd should be hating on some couple because they're coming together and they're fulfilling whatever their life's purpose is. Ugh. Haters annoy me. They really annoy me. I don't get it. Like I said, this could be somebody's like family member, friend, something like that. Because it gives like somebody watching this relationship blossom and flourish and just being like, oh, I wish this would be over already, you know? And like I said, that's just such a shitty way to be, you know? Especially if it's a family member. Especially if it's a family member. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope it resonated for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were entertained by my story time hour. I hope everybody had a fabulous Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful Friday morning. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.